Hello boxing fans, this is obviously the Felix Sturm versus Martin Murray post-fight report. Been in work all day and I'm quite hungover, so it's going to bear with me for a bit. Firstly we'll do the shout-outs, people who predicted the correct result. It's going to be a quick list, so here come the shout-outs. Okay, that's the shout-outs over. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any time, I'm just going to get straight into it, and I'm just going to say this was a very controversial fight, and I don't think it was controversial because once again Felix Sturm kept hold of his title. I think it was more controversial in terms that all these rounds were really close to score, and it seems like Felix Sturm is fighting guys who are not complementing his style, and the fact I do think Sturm is sort of past the twilight of his career now. He's like, this is it for him. I think he's basically gonna face someone better and then he's gonna lose, and I think his next fight will be against Sergio Martinez. Well, actually no, he'll have to win a fight first, then he might get Sergio Martinez. Just some of the close rounds that I had was round 1, 2, 3, 7 was quite close. I think 9 was close. 12 was close in terms of they both did their good points, but at the end I did give that round to Storm. But it was the whole fight was close. It was depending on what you liked, really. The thing is about it, especially in the European continent, they seem to like their skills over brute force and come forward attack and aggression. But in America and to an extent in the UK, we like to see come forward aggression over bare skills, if you understand. At the end of the day, I think there's one thing we can all agree on. Matthew Macklin must have been sitting there thinking, where were these judges when I was fighting him? The official scorecards were 116, 112, 114, 114, and 113, 115. And I did 2 scorecards. I said how I think the judges are going to see it, and I did one on how I see it. The one I saw, I did to Sturm by 1. Thing is, a lot of those rounds, like I said, were close, and I would also agree with the draw. I would really agree with the draw. I really agree with that 114, 114 right now. The other thing is, the one on, obviously on the how the judges will see it, and every close round, extremely close round, I just edged it and give it to Sturm. And on that one I had Sturm up by 5. Obviously that one's not worth the paper it's written on, so don't worry about it. But I sort of predicted that this would happen and Sturm would get extra points. And another thing it shows is you can't trust the French judge. He gave it 4 rounds to Sturm, and I don't think it's possible that he won 4 more rounds outright. I just don't see it. Just throwing this one out there. To be fair, I must admit I was quite drinking heavily on the night in question, and I did end up. You see, what happened was there's a few Mexicans actually who live in the town that I live in, and it just seems every now and again, especially on a Friday night, they go there and they get absolutely smashed, and what they drink is they drink either cider or beer, and then they have a tequila shot with each one, and they end up having like 8 or 9 of each. So I was with them, and a few of my mates were drinking with them, and I was like there, and we were doing rounds, and then, you know, all of a sudden I'm smashed. So to be honest, it could have been close, it could have been different, because I was quite drunk. Moral of that story, guys, if you want to know, is don't drink with Mexicans. At the end of this I think I'm going to have to do a whole video on a different day about refereeing and judging all around the world. I think that's what I'm going to do in the future, so keep in tune for that. Talking specifically about the match, I just want to say everything that Sturm was doing, he was landing the cleaner, the crisper shots, but it was Martin Murray who was also staying there with him. At times it looked like Sturm just was that extra bit better. He was like a level above, if you understand, but Murray was still there. He was like, I'm still here, I'm here, you're not going to hurt me. And then later on in the fight, in the first 3 rounds, Murray gave as good as he got. They were all close. I gave 1 to Murray, 2 to Sturm, but you could either of the 2 that I gave to Sturm could have been draws. Later on, I think it was round 5, Murray was laughing at Sturm. He was like, you can't hurt me, and he actually put his guard down, started laughing, and then Felix hit him again and just didn't move him. And I think that's a good point. Maybe Sturm's power's on the decline, the speed's on the decline. We can see that he's still got the skill. You never lose class, but is that enough at this time when he's facing these young guns? He's facing Matthew Macklin in this last fight, and he was very fortunate to walk away with his belt from that one. And then he was probably fortunate to walk away with his belt in this one. The thing I picked up on the whole fight was that it was Martin Murray who was landing the better body shots. I thought that Sturm was open to the body consistently, and he was also open on the inside sometimes. There was also at points in the 6th round, I think it was, better volume of punches coming from, and variety in fact, coming from Murray. It was the fact that Murray was landing the uppercuts on the inside, he was landing the body shots, and he was mixed up with a jab. A lot of his jab didn't get through. I'd say he had a 20% success ratio with the jab, which isn't great, but still he was still mixing it in, and he was putting a variety in there, and that's something the judges would have to take a look at, really. And you see, this is just where it comes back to me. At the end, I thought it was a draw. I thought that Murray, even though he probably didn't deserve to win, he did come forward and he tried his hardest, but he didn't deserve to win. He didn't win the fight, we know that. But I don't think Sturm deserved to lose either. I just don't think he deserved to lose. In the second half of the fight, he was slower. He was a bit more flat-footed. He was. It's hard to explain. I think it's just age catching up. I'm 32 years old now. Unfortunately, I think this is the end for Felix Sturm. I think he's got one fight left in him. Hopefully, it'll be a big fight. I want to see him fight Sergio Martinez. And if he's not going to do that, well, he needs to retire. Retire on top while he's still got his belt. No need going out on a loss to someone, especially like Martin Murray. I mean, props to Martin Murray because he's a great fighter. I've got utmost respect for him now, but he's not world class level for me. I'd like to see him face Barker. I'd like to see him face Macklin. I'd like to see him face these guys. I want to see them guys in the ring. Okay, guys, the last thing I'm going to say, and the thing I'm going to leave you on is, basically, who do you think won the fight? Was my assessment a fair assessment? And was my judging totally destroyed by the amount of alcohol that I consumed in a 3-hour period? These are all questions that we need answers to, people.